Oh boy, a lot of Sixer fans are not going to agree with this quote from Nick Nurse. Also, Joel Embiid popping up at the Rico Hines Runs, but who was he talking to, and could that player eventually become his teammate? We'll break it all down here on Philly Take with RB.
Perfect.
What is going on, everybody? RB here. Welcome into the show. Like always, hit the like button if you enjoy the content. Be sure to subscribe, ring the bell. Don't miss any of the coverage. Believe it or not, we are just under a few weeks away from Sixers training camp. We'll be covering it all live here on the show. Today, we are back, though. Nick Nurse did an interview, and he said some very interesting things about Joel Embiid, about Tobias Harris, who I feel like we haven't heard anything about, and even Paul Reed. So you don't want to miss what he had to say. And also, Joel Embiid popping up with an interesting face at the Rico Hines Runs. We will get into all of it, but before we jump into that, a shout out to our partner of today's video. Shout out to the partner of today's video, Mint Mobile. If you out there are similar to everyone else in the world who has thought to themselves at one point, why is my wireless bill so high? Then Mint Mobile is for you. Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for as low as $15 per month, and you don't have to sacrifice any coverage, speed, or data. They're built on the nation's largest 5G network and keep costs low because they sell directly to you online, cutting out the retail stores and salespeople. Why should you pay more than you have to for access to the same network? You can go and use that money to treat yourself to a Sixers game or even buy a new jersey. All Mint Mobile plans include unlimited nationwide talk and text, plus lightning fast 5G and free mobile hotspot. They even offer super affordable family plans with as little as 2 lines. And switching to Mint is super easy thanks to their digital eSIM cards. You can sign up and activate immediately right on your phone from the comfort of your home. And if your phone isn't eSIM compatible, Mint will actually ship you a new SIM card free of charge. The whole process will only take about 15 minutes. And if you get stuck, Mint has a great customer service team to help you through it. So if you are interested in reliable coverage and fast data for a fraction of the cost, go to mintmobile.com/PhillyTake. You can go right down to the description of this video and click the link, or you can scan the QR code on the screen. All right, man, let's jump into it. So like I said, Nick Nurse did an interview. They have it up here on SixersWire on Twitter. Shout out to them. Or X. I know I keep calling it Twitter, but we'll call it X if we can remember. Sixers coach Nick Nurse discussing his love of music, which we're now going to take a look at, and more music stuff. And then Tobias Harris and Joel Embiid. That is what we are interested in. So the first question that really gauged my interest here is this. Nick, one guy who hasn't been talked about a lot is Tobias Harris. How do you fit him into your schemes? Yeah, I mean, ever since the whole crumble cookie thing, it felt like all the hype was around a Tobias Harris trade heading into the summer. And then it just completely went away. And then the James Harden thing happened. And it's like, okay, I guess Tobias is going to end up staying if James leaves. But obviously going on to the last year of a deal, expiring deal, can be used in a lot of different things. But here's what Nick Nurse had to say about Tobias Harris for the first time. He says, I kind of believe in roles. They're important, but I always throw a little bit of roles for now. This is your role. I think Tobias is a great example. There's so much more he could possibly do. And I kind of want him to settle in and play this role that he's capable of playing, that he's got experience playing, but I do kind of want him to dream outside that role or expand outside that role eventually. Well, as we know, a lot of us can dream, not a lot of us can produce results. So I'm not really sure what role he's referencing here. Is that the mid-range, dribble a couple times, post up, turn around, fade role? Is that the 18-point per game role? Is it what he tried to adapt to last year, where he started to shoot 3-pointers and spot up in the corner? What role are we talking about here? I think there needs to be some more clarity, but he goes on and he says, I do keep a pretty loose lid on the roles, if that makes sense, because I think there are some guys, maybe they never shot a 3-pointer before and they're not bad and we may need them to shoot more threes or whatever it is. Now he transitions into Paul Reed. He says Paul Reed would be a good example for us for that. A guy that hasn't really shot a lot of threes, but they're trying to develop the jump shot. That way they can be more versatile. And if Paul Reed can start shooting and be more effective with that, then he may find himself, eventually becoming a starter, having a lot more minutes. So he says, when we got James and Joel out there, there's going to be some open threes. So let's start to open up their minds a little bit and get working on it, and let's see what happens, things like that. He does reference James Harden and Joel Embiid out there. Don't know if we can put any substance to that or not. But again, I like Nick's philosophy in that, okay, you come in, you establish your role, but then that is also, going to change a lot, right? That's going to be dynamic, and, you may be asked to do this one night or that the next night, but it's really about creating that structure and identity of the team, and whoever else is there has to kind of fit around that. And I think the Sixers have failed to address that with the right pieces for a long time, or never, allowed their pieces or forced their pieces to develop around their main core and identity. So it's good that Nick is speaking like this, but here is the question that I don't think will be taken as lightly from Sixer fans. I don't think they're going to agree with this one. Give me your thoughts, though, down below. They asked Nick Nurse, how do you manage Joel Embiid now, considering the resting policy? Nurse says, quote, I think that we are looking at it maybe a little different than people think we might be. We're trying to get him to play more games. Our goal is that it's going up for him, not the other direction. And some people would say, oh, that's playoffs. Is he going to be? We're just trying to get it going the other direction. I think that's just what our people believe here, that he can play. And again, knock on wood, cross our fingers, all that stuff. There's always things that can come up with that, but I don't know. I believe in the guys playing as much as they can, and let's see what happens. And obviously, this was a hot topic, right, for Nick Nurse in Toronto, right? He overplayed his starters, and he didn't have enough talent and this and that. But a lot of people are looking at Joel Embiid. Okay, he won an MVP. He's had great regular seasons, but every single freaking playoff run he gets injured. So you might want to start resting him. Now the NBA comes out where, you can't sit two stars in the same game and this and that. There's obviously a few ways around that, more so long term. But when it comes to Joel Embiid, I even proposed months ago, like maybe they should start, load managing him within game and not giving him as many minutes, because he could be as great as he wants in a regular season, but come playoff time, if he has a knee or an ankle bothering him, he's just not going to be able to lead this team where they want to go. So Nick Nurse is saying that they're actually thinking about it opposite. Like they're trying to get him to play more than he has. And I just don't know if that's the right decision. What I will say, though, and somebody brought this point up recently, that, maybe Joel playing more will get his body more in a rhythm, and just train it more to play more. That way he doesn't sustain these injuries. But my response to that would be, usually his injuries don't come with like overusing or overplaying. It's more so with just freak accidents, or him jumping up 3 feet off the ground and landing a weird way, or diving into the basket post or whatever. So it's just kind of, you don't want to adapt the way he plays the game, but it's hard, because then he will get injured. So I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting, but let me know whether you agree or disagree with that down below. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is Joel Embiid, and he made an appearance at the Rico Hines Runs, right? We've been seeing a lot of clips from them. Paul Reed's been very apparent in those, and right, some other superstars. Shout out to my guy Sean for putting it on Twitter, aka X. And look who Joel Embiid was actually chatting with in the first appearance he's made here at the Rico Hines Runs. It is Norman Powell. Look, there he is. Joel say, I don't know. What are they talking about? What do you guys think? Give me a prediction down below. What are they talking? Look, I didn't say it. You said it. You want to be my teammate? Hey, look, it's not me. Look, you said it. You said, look, I don't know. Joel Embiid, Norman Powell, chopping it up a little bit at the Rico Hines Runs. Interesting. Now, some of you may out there, be like, who's Norman Powell? Well, Norman Powell is a very, very underrated player, member of the LA Clippers. And let's take a look at his contract. Right now, he's 30 years old. He's got this year, in addition to 2 more years on his contract, about $20 million per year. And to be honest, with the way guys are being paid now, that is severely underrated, in my opinion. That is a value deal. Norman Powell has been hit by the injury bug a little bit since coming to the Clippers a couple years ago. But man, when you think about him back in Portland, that was my favorite version of Norm Powell, former second-round pick, right? Developed over the years, then went to Portland. And man, I mean, this guy, he was behind Dame, he was behind CJ McCollum, so people kind of forgot about him, but he was almost in all-star territory at one point. And you look at his numbers last year, mostly coming off the bench, and really that's what he is, probably a prominent 6th man at this point. But he was averaging 17 points per game last year. The year before that, he was averaging between Portland and LA, probably about 20 points off the bench. And then the year before that, 17. So every year he's been around like an 18 to 20 point per game mark. He's a little bit of an undersized wing. I do have some concerns defensively. For example, if he ended up coming to the Sixers, say in a James Harden trade, would you start him next to Maxey? Would the defense be good enough to sustain? Or would he be a 6-man? Other than that, I just know offensively, he's going to bring another element that the Sixers need, right? They don't have a lot of wings, number one. And two, honestly, as crazy as it sounds, they need more guys that can put the ball on the floor and create. Now, I'm not going to say he's a top-tier playmaker, but he can knock it down from deep. Look at his career percentage from three, almost 39%. He does it on a consistent basis. He doesn't do anything too flashy in my eyes. He just shows up to work every damn night and gets the job done and does what he needs to do. This is a guy that plays his role, and I just like Norman Powell's game. I always have, right? Another guy that can put it on the floor, can slash, get to the basket, and get you some buckets, man. He's a modern-day NBA player. He creates a little bit of a different dynamic, and you know, if he ends up being in, say, a James Harden trade, right? Say they end up linking with the Clippers and getting this thing done, and it's, you know, not for the stars, but for role players. People keep talking about Terrence Mann. No, this would be the best player in that deal. Not Terrence Mann. It would be Norman Powell, and he would come right in and fit with the Sixers at the 2 or the 3. And yeah, I think he would be a great piece. Now, if the Harden trade doesn't end up happening, who knows where they go from there? But even if this is a guy you could end up snagging, man, and, you know, say you get off a bigger contract like a Tobias or a James, yeah, I would love Norman Powell in this team. I think he would be a great fit around Joel Embiid, around Tyrese Maxey. I think Maxey and Powell could end up playing off each other. And yeah, just always been a big fan of his game. So interested to see them two chopping it up here at the Rico Hines Runs. Let me ask you, Sixer Nation, would you ever like to see Norman Powell on the Philadelphia 76ers? Like I said, he's been adding up a few of those injuries, but if he can stay healthy, man, would be a very productive player. So give me all your thoughts on that down below. As always, appreciate everybody for tuning in. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. That being said, I will catch you all on the next one. Peace.